Losing weight sounds pretty simple. All you do is eat less and move more. But if you already know this and you still haven't been able to crack the code, I want you to hear this. You are confusing a simple equation with a simple problem. Calories in versus calories out is true. To lose weight, your body does have to use more energy than it takes in. But while the equation explains energy balance, it doesn't account for everything that goes into being human. Before you try harder, let's make sure that you try smarter and that you're solving for the right problem. I'm going to give you a framework to understand what actually plugs into the weight loss equation and how to use your time and effort more strategically. Let's get into it. The way I want you to see weight management is kind of like driving a car. Most of the time, when someone tries to lose weight, we focus almost entirely on the driver's willpower, motivation, and discipline. And yes, of course, your abilities as the driver matters. If you want to get somewhere, you do have to drive. But when we reduce weight loss to just try harder, we are ignoring everything else that shapes the journey. Instead, we need to zoom out and start looking at it from the lens of the weight triangle. There's the driver, which is not just our willpower, but everything else about our psychology and our mindset. There's also the car, which is our biology, and there's the road, which is our environment. Once you understand the weight triangle, you can start to see why there's such a gap between knowing something and being able to do it consistently. Because change does require effort, but effort doesn't exist on its own. It has to work inside a mind, body, and life. Let's take a closer look, starting with the car, because that's the part a lot of people don't see. If you didn't know this before, your body hates weight loss. Even if you know you want to lose weight and feel healthier, your body has evolved to help you survive out in nature. It is literally wired to defend against weight loss. Think about it. Our ancestors have endured thousands of years of famine and food scarcity. So the bodies and brains that we have the privilege of inheriting are actually the ones that are really good at seeking out food and holding on to weight. What this also means is that when we try to lose weight, the body can interpret that change as a potential threat to our survival. And it'll defend itself by increasing hunger and cravings and reducing fullness. It also starts to burn less calories, something that's called adaptive thermogenesis. From a scientific survival perspective, all of this is actually pretty cool. But from the lived experience of a weight loss journey that gets harder and harder to continue, this does really suck. I want you to know this because when one of my patients plateau, what I often hear is that it's because they don't have enough motivation or willpower. And that can be a part of it, but it is important to understand that there is also underlying biology. It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something is right. Your body is trying to protect you. Bringing this back to the car doesn't understand that you're trying to reach your wellness goals. It sees that fuel is running low, so it starts to do everything it can to get you to refuel and conserve energy. Our biology is also not just responding to weight change. How well the car performs also depends on how much sleep you've gotten, how stressed you are, your genetics, medications you might be taking, and also what else is going on with your health, especially metabolically and hormonally. That said, once we understand what goes into our biology, we can also learn how to support it. This is where certain weight loss medications, like GLP-1s, come into play. But just as, if not more important, this is where we can also make sure that our car has the right fuel. Making sure that you're sleeping well, managing your stress, and honing in on your food choices so that you take into account energy and nourishment rather than just being in a calorie deficit can really help with managing those hunger and fullness hormones. If you're starving yourself, skipping meals, and not giving your body what it needs, your biological systems are going to push back. As they should. What we want is to work with our body, not fight it or punish it into submission. Your body is incredible, and it's always just trying its best to look after you. It deserves to be treated with care and respect. We'll come back to this because there's a whole blueprint for how to nourish your body, boost your natural GLP, and feel full and satisfied for the long haul. This matters because the stronger your hunger and cravings are and the lower your energy is, the harder you're going to have to work to stay on the path. So while biology affects how much effort is needed, our psychology determines how effectively that effort is used. And if we want change to last, this is the part that really matters. And it's something that most weight loss advice completely ignores. So pause here with me. I want you to ask yourself, what does it actually mean to be the driver? One of the biggest mistakes we make is when we reduce psychology down to only being about your willpower. But there is so much more to being human. It's how you think about the choice, what it means to you. It's about whether one slip up feels like a small detour, or if you then spiral into what's the point. Being the driver is partly about developing your skills. These are things like willpower, discipline, motivation generation, and self-regulation. But it is also about your deeply held thoughts, feelings, identities, beliefs, coping patterns, past experiences, and everything else that goes into being human. This matters because someone can be putting in a lot of mental effort and not be mindful of where that effort is going. If you are constantly stressed and your energy is getting drained by shame, perfectionism, all or nothing thinking, and other mental traps, then your effort is getting spent on survival instead of growth. For example, take two different drivers going down the same road. One makes a wrong turn and immediately starts panicking. They're gripping the steering wheel, slamming on the brakes, and yelling at themselves for messing up once again. Every wrong turn is evidence that they're bad at this. So much of their energy gets consumed by shame, frustration, and trying to recover from the spiral. Another driver makes a wrong turn and thinks, well, life happens. They check the GPS, reroute, and get back on the road. Same wrong turn, completely different use of energy. That is psychology. It affects where your effort is directed and how it's being used. What I see a lot of is not that people aren't trying hard enough. It's that their expectations aren't realistic to how sustained habit change actually works. Because after years of doing this, I'll tell you this now. It is not about being a perfect driver who never makes a wrong turn. Part of being human is going down paths you didn't expect, and sometimes taking the scenic route. Growth comes as you find your way, discover who you are, and decide where you actually want to go. And you can't always choose the route, but you can change how you drive the car. I'm not saying it's easy, but with the right tools and the right perspective, I have witnessed so many people change the way they drive and even start to enjoy the ride. That said, even though I love me a good psychological analysis, we also don't have to start with unpacking the deepest corners of our mind. For behavior change, one of the most practical places we can look is the third part, which is our environment or the road. Our environment shapes how often we need to use our effort. It includes your day-to-day routines, schedules, relationships, both healthy and unhealthy, as well as your home and work life. It also goes back in time to how you grew up, your family patterns and cultural norms, as well as what you're currently surrounded by, what food is available, portion sizes, and how convenient and affordable healthier choices are. We also can't ignore the influence of big food. Billions of dollars in marketing, advertising, and product engineering that is designed to tap into our reward systems and encourage us to buy and eat more. Our environment is a lot, and we can't control the entire route, but we can change parts of it. Say you want to take vitamins in the morning. Instead of saying, I'll just try harder to remember tomorrow, you can make it easier by doing something about it. Put the bottle somewhere in your face or pair it with something you already do. Make it so that your brain doesn't have to remember. It's just there. Changing our habits for the long term is hard. So one of the smartest things you can do about it is to make the healthy choice easy and obvious so that you're more likely to repeat it. Don't rely solely on your willpower. Make the road easier to drive. And remember, you're not just the driver. You can be the builder too. So where you can, build roads that help you keep going. So before you jump into another diet or workout plan, I want you to pause and ask yourself, other than my lack of discipline, what else has gotten in the way in the past? And what can I do differently this time? Look at it through the lens of the weight triangle. Is it my biology? How can I support my body to reduce the effort required? Is it my mindset? Where is my mental energy actually going? How can I use it more effectively? And finally, how can I optimize my environment and set myself up for success? How do I make healthy choices easier and more automatic? When we step back and understand what is shaping our choices, we can stop wasting our effort and start directing it to where it actually matters. On the surface, behavior change seems simple, but you get it, it's not actually easy. I do want to share with you step-by-step frameworks within all 3 parts of the weight triangle. But for today, give yourself this. Calories in versus calories out explains the math of weight change. But weight loss is not just knowing the math. It's living it out in a real life with a real body and a real mind. So if it's felt harder than it should, maybe it isn't because you're a failure. Maybe it's because there's more to being human than just math. Thank you for showing up today. I see you, I appreciate you, and let's do it different this time, together.